Hello and welcome to Portland International Airport. Today we're in X-Plane, which is a first for me, looking at the newly released IXEG 737 Classic. This has apparently been in the works for 4 or 5 years, highly anticipated by the X-Plane community. It is a 737-300. By all appearances, and what I've seen so far and what other people have seen, it is easily on par with the PMDG 737NG over in FSX and Prepared. Very, very accurate system simulation, accurate flight model, probably even more accurate than you can get out of the other platforms because X-Plane does the flight dynamics, I think, much better than the Microsoft Flight Sim platform does. It looks great. I have a classic Delta livery on it here, but just very nice looking airplane. We're going to make that little Seminole or something behind us wait for a while. So really, really excellent plug-in from what we've seen so far. 2 caveats. A lot of people are disappointed right off the bat with it because it is not finished yet. Really, it has everything you need, but they haven't quite finished some of the smaller details, like being able to open the doors. And the other thing that a lot of people are upset about is there does appear to be some of the FMC CDU pages that aren't quite done yet or aren't working quite right yet. The progress page isn't right, and I think there might be some other pages. But most of what you need to fly is there, or I should say everything you need to fly is there, but not quite everything you might want to use. And it has been buggy. It is a 1.0 release. They've already released a 1.01 patch, which I've installed, which fixed really a couple of the bugs that I noticed, and then a bunch of other ones that some other people had noticed. So they are responding quickly now that tons of people have downloaded it on release day. But it is, it is 1.0 software, so those are the caveats. Aside from that, though, I mean, it really is amazing. It's, like I said, I think it's fair to say that it's everything the PMDG, level of detail and accuracy is, but in a way, it feels even more alive, and the needles and the indicators on the gauges and throughout the cockpit just feel much more dynamic and not quite as static as you get in a lot of the Microsoft Flight Sim aircraft. But enough of that. Let's hop inside and see what it looks like. So most of us are familiar with the 737 mainly from the PMDG 737, which is the 737NG, or next generation. This is an older rev, the 737 Classic. So it does feel very familiar. Of course, the main, the layout is the same, but there are notable differences in terms of less glass, more of the steam gauge style readouts. The overhead panel, again, very familiar, but slightly different. The upper overhead panel, really, I think, pretty much exactly the same. A beautiful flight deck that has been implemented here by the IXEG guys. I think I have an overview camera here, yeah, and we can look down at the center pedestal. So again, familiar, but just older style radios. The controls for the little HSI here are down here instead of up front and center next to the MCP, like they are in the NG when you have the nice big ND that dominates with the 2 panels on each side. So yeah, let's get flying. What I'm doing today is just some familiarization, early training in the aircraft. So I'm not really going anywhere. I'm just practicing flying circuits around the airport here in Portland. I'm also hand flying it, so I'm not using the autopilot. Again, just trying to get a feel for becoming proficient with this aircraft. Let me recenter my track error view here. So the plan here, which I'm repeating more just to keep it fresh in my mind, is we are doing a circuit around runway We are at 28 right here. By the way, this Portland scenery is a freeware add-on scenery from, I think, well, I know someone in the X-Plane community, but I think his name is Mr. X6 or 9. He puts out just some great, let's look outside again, really high quality freeware airports. I mean, it really, it looks like you're at Portland. Okay, I'm not going to go all the way over here because it's going to take too long. I can zoom in. So the terminal is accurate. The branding of the aircraft at the different gates matches the current gate assignments. So I go over at the D gates here. You have some Delta planes, and this is D3 here, where the Virgin America plane is, and that's their one gate at Portland. So lots of details, and then of course Alaska dominates over at the A/B gates. I think there's a Southwest over there. You see Max. Look at that. There's the Max train, properly, with real life Max textures on it, and the cargo area. And if we look over here, we have the Oregon Air National Guard base. You can see the F-15s parked at the guard base. So really great. There's the hotel. That's the embassy suites at the airport. Just amazing freeware PDX scenery. Okay, but where was I? So we are going to do a circuit around runway 28 right. The plan is to get on the runway. Takeoff power we're going to set to about 90% in 1. Rotation speed is 140 knots. I've set a bug there. We're going to target about 18 to 20 degrees nose up on the pitch. When we get to 1,500 feet, that's our acceleration height, so we will pitch down to 10 degrees nose up. As we accelerate through 190, we'll go flaps up. We're just doing a flaps 1 takeoff. And then our target altitude is 3,000 feet. Our target speed is 220 knots. So as we approach 3,000 feet, we'll pitch over to level off, pull the power back, and we will try to fly our downwind. Or I'm sorry, at that point we'll still be on the upwind leg at 3,000 feet, 220 knots. And then as soon as we can at that point, we'll do a bank to the, let's see, I'm taking off that way. We'll do a bank to the right. We'll come around 180 degrees to the right, fly the downwind leg, and once we're at 3 minutes past the runway threshold here, we'll do another 180 degrees to the right to turn around onto final. And as soon as we come into that turn, we'll start decelerating, pull the power back, dropping the flaps on schedule, and try to make what appears to be a slightly decent landing. Yeah, it'll be interesting. We shall see. Okay, how do I get the camera back on? There we go. So with that, let's get the landing lights on, strobe light on, and transponder on. Parking brake off. And here we go. Taxiing in terms of power is much more realistic than FSX had prepared. As soon as we release the parking brake at idle power, you actually start creeping forward a little bit, which is realistic in a 737, unlike the Microsoft platforms where you need a big bump of power just to get rolling to overcome the inertia and ground friction, and then have to pull back so you don't start going way too fast. Okay, here goes nothing. Engine stabilize about 40%. Looks like engine was lagging a little bit there. Alright. The NASA 747 shuttle carrier at KPDX? I don't think so. Okay, takeoff power set. 80 knots. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. Okay. 20 to 1,500 feet. There's 1,500. We'll pitch over to 10 degrees nose up. It's 190, flaps up. There's 220. Pull back the power. Try to level off at 3,020 feet. So maybe, there we go. Drop it a little bit, a little higher. Power back a little. And we've blown through it. Okay, in any case, we are going to start our turn. And so 180 degrees around, we should come out of the turn at 103 degrees. Fly this about that bank angle. Through the turn, we'll try and settle back down to 3,020 feet or so. Pull back on the power. Again, I really want to do 220. See the airport out there somewhere, maybe. Dropping, we need pitch up. Okay, we're back on the speed I want. Let's hold up more through the turn. Pick up some of that altitude, lower speed. Yep. Roll out of that 103, overshot that a little bit. I was watching the altitude. here. 4 degrees goes up. Course. Okay. 103. Thereabouts. Oh. Climbing. Okay. Ourselves. Just send a little bit. Okay, so there's the airport. Just about being with the threshold. Start a timer. 3 minutes, and then turn around. Final. Drifting inward, turn back out. There's the heading we want. Quick peek outside while we're on this downwind leg. It's a nice looking aircraft. Okay, dropping. Okay, so preparing for our final, we will arm the speed brake for landing. VREF is going to be 130 knots.
25 then.
I need to descend yet. Okay, so I'm going to try and hold, well, let's just call it roughly 2,600 feet around the turn. So here we go. It's quite that steep. More power. Try and hold 2,600. Okay, there's the airport. Looks like we overshot a little bit, so I'll roll out after 183, or 283. And we're going to pull back to idle power, and try and maintain our present altitude. Okay, flaps 1. Rest this descent a little bit. Flaps 5. We're going to try and hold about a 900 foot per minute descent here. Flaps 5, gear down. Speed brake is armed. Flaps 15. Okay, a bit too fast now. Gonna bump with flaps 15. Okay, flaps 25. And flaps 30. Need to have power to keep us afloat.
Minimum.
Reversers, nose down. Not quite center line, but I'm pretty happy with that, even though it wasn't really ever perfectly stable on the approach. Alright, stow the reversers. brake at some point, which is difficult with these pedals. There we go. Alright. It's not bad at all. Take the high speed, which is the second turn here. Oh, we can take the low speed now, we're at 20 knots. Welcome back to Portland International Airport. Just hang out here. Get our flaps up. And the speed brake stowed. Landing lights all come off. Strobe comes off. Engine ignition can come off, and transponder back to auto. Well, there we are. Oh, while we're out here, we can look at the cool. Whoops. Let me move us to a good position here. If I hit the reversers again. Check that out. Now we can look at the spoilers too. Yep. It's the ground spoilers, reversers. I'll put the flaps down. So flaps 1, you should see the leading edge devices come down. Yep, there they go. Then let's zoom around to the back. Go flaps 5. Still the reversers again. Flaps 10. Flaps 15. And what's next? Flaps 20. Flaps 30. And flaps 40. Spoiler in. So yeah, pretty cool. So that is the IXEG 737 Classic. I'll do an actual flight from somewhere to somewhere and go through all the startup and programming the route into the CDU here and all that kind of stuff at some point. But for now, like I said, I was just wanting to get a feel for the plane and see how she flies. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.